implementers, and the public will help the Indonesian Ministry of National Development Planning to improve Indonesia's low-carbon development initiative.
So this is the first time we gathering in the same theme, low carbon and climate strategy in Indonesia with SEI, Udayana University, and many other important stakeholders.
LCBIC is a platform of industry development in the future.
Kebijakan dari pemerintah sendiri, kemudian masyarakatnya juga perlu memiliki kesadaran bahwa pembangunan berkelanjutan itu adalah untuk kepentingan keberlangsungan hidup kita sendiri.
Tantangan ke depan tentunya bagaimana mengimplementasikan itu di masyarakat. Artinya kalau Bali bisa menurunkan emisi gas rumah kaca atau emisi karbon, tentunya provinsi lain juga bisa mengadopsi itu. Tentunya tujuan dari pembangunan rendah karbon di Indonesia juga dari 34 provinsi bisa tercapai.
We need a radical idea to improve the situation. So I don't want to do something like typical brainstorming things, which come out, average idea.
I think actually I should be a participant who hear from all of you. Our position now is how to get the input from all stakeholders. University, NGO, multilateral, bilateral institution.
Pembangunan rendah karbon ini menyangkut kepentingan banyak pihak yang kadang-kadangan itu saling bertabrakan. Ada pihak kapital, pemegang kapital, ada pihak untuk pemerhati lingkungan, dan ini masih perlu disinkronkan.
I think the challenges are that there's a strong dependency on fossil fuels in Indonesia, and the system of governance really supports the fossil fuel industry. So I think it's really important for stakeholders, especially the government, to come together and discuss how we can meaningfully address climate change in Indonesia.
Not every day as a local student, like you get to go to an opportunity like this and talk to policymakers, ask them questions about the status quo of energy, waste management, on all of these things. And overall, I learned a lot about the issues at hand today and how I, as part of the youth, can be involved.
Jadi kami sekarang sedang mempersiapkan perencanaan pembangunan untuk tahun 2020 sampai dengan tahun 2024.
We Schuako will start 2 new European Commission projects on climate change and energy in 2020. So we will continue to support Indonesia Ministry of we also hold our fifth workshop under this research project, and looking forward to meet our partner again in this year.
Awalnya dulu saya memang belum ada niat untuk nanam kopi. Nah sebenarnya itu awalnya hanya untuk hobi gitu. Nah ternyata pada saat saya tanam itu ada buahnya, banyak buahnya. Saya kembangkan lagi gitu. Dia menawarkan pasar mau ngambil gitu. Akhirnya saya lebih semangat. Akhirnya sampai sekarang itu menjadi kegiatan tetap.
Tapi sekarang harus ada perubahan iklim, pemeliharaan harus berusaha juga perubahan gitu ya.
The one vulnerable to the climate change also do not have clean energy access. So why not we can solve at the same time?
So basically biogas is made from cow manure and also any other cattle manure. And the benefit of the biogas is not only the gas for cooking. In this case, we teach the farmer how to roast their coffee with the biogas, and also they get the fertilizer, the biofertilizer, which is good for their plants. And then we reducing the greenhouse gases emission, and so in this case we solve energy problems, agricultural problems, and then the environmental problems at the same time with the biogas.
Untuk yang lain juga berguna untuk memasak. Kemudian ada lagi gunanya untuk lampu itu. Jadi kami juga mengurangi daripada pembelian gas di dapur itu.
Nah, kalau manfaatnya terutama di serurinya itu memang luar biasa. Kalau dulu kotoran masih mentah itu dipakai di tanaman, bisa kadang-kadang keracunan tanamannya karena masih mengandung gas itu.
And the biogas is an interesting case because it comes at this interface between energy and agriculture, but also entrepreneurship and innovation. So in that respect, the Indonesian case study has really received a lot of attention also by our funders at the European Commission, because they can see that a huge country like Indonesia, if they can push sectors like biogas to take off, then maybe they can do it in other areas as well.
In the Transrisk project, and particularly in the Indonesia case, what we've been trying to do is, from the outset, from the early stages of the project, engage with the policymakers.
Engage the policymaker, so the understanding is like built up slowly, but later on can be basically the understanding is better.
I strongly believe that we need local action, such as green business, and at the same time we need to have strategies or scaling up support, which I believe government can do it, and both activities should be supported by science.
The fourth Sustainability and Resilience Workshop is a 3-day event where we, Shuriko, academic professors, students, implementers, and the public will help the Indonesian Ministry of National Development Planning to improve Indonesia's low-carbon development initiative.
So this is the first time we gathering in the same theme, low carbon and climate strategy in Indonesia, with Bapena, Shuriko, SCI, Udayana University, and many other important stakeholders.
LCDIC is a platform of industry development in the future that maintain economic and social development, because if we invest for now in the low carbon, we hope that we have a benefit in the future.
Fortunately, we cannot deny that Indonesia is the third largest emitters of greenhouse gases worldwide. Of our emissions comes from the agricultural sector through deforestation and land use change of people.
So Indonesia has among the highest rates per capita of food loss and food waste in the world.
So we believe that with the combination of agroforestry, waste management, and climate field school, and also our biogas digesters, we can significantly reduce emissions.
Kalau kita bicara tantangan untuk negara sebesar ini ya, tentu cukup kompleks sebetulnya. Pertama itu adalah kebijakan dari pemerintah sendiri, kemudian masyarakatnya juga perlu memiliki kesadaran bahwa pembangunan berkelanjutan itu adalah untuk kepentingan keberlangsungan hidup kita sendiri.
Tantangan ke depan tentunya bagaimana mengimplementasikan itu di masyarakat. Artinya kalau Bali bisa menurunkan emisi gas rumah kaca atau emisi karbon, tentunya provinsi lain juga bisa mengadopsi itu. Tentunya tujuan dari pembangunan rendah karbon di Indonesia juga dari 34 provinsi bisa tercapai.
We need a radical idea to improve the situation. So I don't want to do something like typical brainstorming things, which come out, average idea.
I think actually I should be a participant who hear from all of you. Our position now is how to get the input from all stakeholders. University, NGO, multilateral institution.
Pembangunan rendah karbon ini menyangkut kepentingan banyak pihak yang kadang-kadangan itu saling bertabrakan. Ada pihak kapital, pemegang kapital, ada pihak untuk pemerhati lingkungan, dan ini masih perlu disinkronkan.
I think the challenges are that there's a strong dependency on fossil fuels in Indonesia, and the system of governance really supports the fossil fuel industry. So I think it's really important for stakeholders, especially the government, to come together and discuss how we can meaningfully address climate change in Indonesia.
Not every day as a local student, like you get to go to an opportunity like this and talk to policymakers, ask them questions about the status quo of energy, waste management, on all of these things. And overall, I learned a lot about the issues at hand today and how I, as part of the youth, can be involved.
Kami sekarang sedang mempersiapkan perencanaan pembangunan untuk tahun 2020 sampai dengan tahun 2024.
Shurco will start 2 new European Commission projects on climate change and energy in 2020. So we will continue to support Indonesia Ministry of Development, Planning, Bappenas, and diverse stakeholders. We also hold our 5th workshop under this research project and looking forward to meet our partner again in this year.
Awalnya dulu saya memang belum ada niat untuk nanam kopi. Nah sebenarnya itu awalnya hanya untuk hobi gitu. Nah ternyata pada saat saya tanam itu ada buahnya, banyak buahnya. Saya kembangkan lagi gitu. Dia menawarkan pasar mau ngambil gitu. Akhirnya saya lebih semangat. Akhirnya sampai sekarang itu menjadi kegiatan tetap.
Tapi sekarang harus ada perubahan iklim, pemeliharaan harus berusaha juga perubahan gitu ya.
The one vulnerable to the climate change also do not have clean energy access. So why not we can solve at the same time?
So basically biogas is made from cow manure and also any other cattle manure. And the benefit of the biogas is not only the gas for cooking. In this case, we teach the farmer how to roast their coffee with the biogas, and also they get the fertilizer, the biofertilizer, which is good for their plants. And then we reducing the greenhouse gases emission. And so in this case, we solve energy problems, agricultural problems, and then the environmental problems at the same time with the biogas.
Untuk yang lain juga berguna untuk memasak. Kemudian ada lagi gunanya untuk lampu itu. Jadi kami juga mengurangi daripada pembelian gas di dapur itu.
Nah kalau manfaatnya terutama di serurinya itu memang luar biasa Kalau dulu kotoran masih mentah itu dipakai di tanaman, bisa kadang-kadang keracunan tanamannya karena masih mengandung gas itu.
And the biogas is an interesting case because it comes at this interface between energy and agriculture, but also entrepreneurship and innovation. So in that respect, the Indonesian case study has really received a lot of attention also by our funders at the European Commission, because they can see that a huge country like Indonesia, if they can push sectors like biogas to take off, then maybe they can do it in other areas as well.
In the Transrisk project, and particularly in the Indonesia case, what we've been trying to do is, from the outset, from the early stages of the project, engage with the policymakers.
Engage the policymaker, so the understanding is like build up slowly, and but later on can be basically the understanding is better.
I strongly believe that we need local action, such as green business, and at the same time we need to have strategies or scaling up support, which I believe government can do it, and both activities should be supported by science.
The fourth Sustainability and Resilience Workshop is a 3-day event where we, Shuriko, academic professors, students, implementers, and the public will help the Indonesian Ministry of National Development Planning to improve Indonesia's low-carbon development initiative.
So this is the first time we gathering in the same theme, low carbon and climate strategy in Indonesia, with Bappenas, Shuriko, SCI, Udayana University, and many other important stakeholders.
LCDIC is a platform of industry development in the future that maintain economic and social development, because if we invest for now in the low carbon, we hope that we have a benefit in the future.
Fortunately, we cannot deny that Indonesia is the third largest emitters of greenhouse gases worldwide. Of our emissions comes from the agricultural sector through deforestation and land use change of people.
So Indonesia has among the highest rates per capita of food loss and food waste in the world.
So we believe that with the combination of agroforestry, waste management, and climate field school, and also our biogas digesters, we can significantly reduce emissions.
Kalau kita bicara tantangan untuk negara sebesar ini ya, tentu cukup kompleks sebetulnya. Pertama itu adalah kebijakan dari pemerintah sendiri, kemudian masyarakatnya juga perlu memiliki kesadaran bahwa pembangunan berkelanjutan itu adalah untuk kepentingan keberlangsungan hidup kita sendiri.
Tantangan ke depan tentunya bagaimana mengimplementasikan itu di masyarakat. Artinya kalau Bali bisa menurunkan emisi gas rumah kaca atau emisi karbon, tentunya provinsi lain juga bisa mengadopsi itu. Tentunya tujuan dari pembangunan rendah karbon di Indonesia juga dari 34 provinsi bisa tercapai.
We we need a radical idea to improve the situation. So I don't want to do something like typical brainstorming things, which come out, average idea.
I think actually I should be a participant who hear from all of you. Our position now is how to get the input from all stakeholders, university, NGO, multilateral institution.
Pembangunan rendah karbon ini menyangkut kepentingan banyak pihak yang kadang-kadangan itu saling bertabrakan. Ada pihak kapital, pemegang kapital, ada pihak untuk pemartir lingkungan, dan ini masih perlu disinkronkan.
I think the challenges are that there's a strong dependency on fossil fuels in Indonesia, and the system of governance really supports the fossil fuel industry. So I think it's really important for stakeholders, especially the government, to come together and discuss how we can meaningfully address climate change in Indonesia.
Not every day as a local student, like you get to go to an opportunity like this and talk to policymakers, ask them questions about the status quo of energy, waste management, on all of these things. And overall, I learned a lot about the issues at hand today and how I, as part of the youth, can be involved.
Jadi kami sekarang sedang mempersiapkan perencanaan pembangunan untuk tahun 2020 sampai dengan tahun 2024.
We Shuako will start 2 new European Commission projects on climate change and energy in 2020. So we will continue to support Indonesia Ministry of Development, Planning, Bappenas, and diverse stakeholders. We also hold our 5th workshop under this research project and looking forward to meet our partner again in this year.
Awalnya dulu saya memang belum ada niat untuk nanam kopi. Nah sebenarnya itu awalnya hanya untuk hobi gitu. Nah ternyata pada saat saya tanam itu ada buahnya, banyak buahnya. Saya kembangkan lagi gitu. Dia menawarkan pasar mau ngambil gitu. Akhirnya saya lebih semangat. Akhirnya sampai sekarang itu menjadi kegiatan tetap.
Tapi sekarang harus ada perubahan iklim, pemeliharaan harus berusaha juga perubahan gitu ya.
The one vulnerable to the climate change also do not have clean energy access. So why not we can solve at the same time?
So basically biogas is made from cow manure and also any other cattle manure. And the benefit of the biogas is not only the gas for cooking. In this case, we teach the farmer how to roast their coffee with the biogas, and also they get the fertilizer, the biofertilizer, which is good for their plants. And then we reducing the greenhouse gases emission. And so in this case, we solve energy problems, agricultural problems, and then the environmental problems at the same time with the biogas.
Thank you very much.
Yang lain juga berguna untuk memasak.
While we're waiting,
Kemudian ada lagi gunanya untuk lampu itu. Jadi kami juga mengurangi daripada pembelian gas di dapur itu.
Nah, kalau manfaatnya terutama di serurinya itu memang luar biasa. Kalau dulu kotoran masih mentah itu dipakai di tanaman, bisa kadang-kadang keracunan tanamannya karena masih mengandung gas itu.
And the biogas is an interesting case because it comes at this interface between energy and agriculture, but also entrepreneurship and innovation. So in that respect, the Indonesian case study has really received a lot of attention also by our funders at the European Commission, because they can see that a huge country like Indonesia, if they can push sectors like biogas to take off, then maybe they can do it in other areas as well.
In the Transrisk project, and particularly in the Indonesia case, what we've been trying to do is, from the outset, from the early stages of the project, engage with the policymakers.
Engage the policymaker, so the understanding is like build up slowly, and but later on can be basically the understanding is better.
I strongly believe that we need local action, such as green business, and at the same time we need to have strategies or scaling up support, which I believe government can do it, and both activities should be supported by science.
Okay, I'll pass the mic over for today. Okay, good afternoon to everyone in Indonesia. Good morning to the partners in Europe, and good evening to all our participants in every corner of the world. Before I begin, I will just briefly share my screen for the presentation today. Okay. Can everybody see my screen? Okay, welcome to the second student symposium titled Youth Inclusivity and Climate Change Agenda. My name is Tirta, and this is my partner Amanda, and we will be the moderators for today. I am very pleased to see you and welcome all of you to this workshop. We would like you to know that this symposium was made possible through ECH 2020 and GIZ IKI small grant with the project number as stated on the slides. As you may have learned from the invitation details, in this symposium, we aim to find where and how Shirko and Green School Bali could support youth and climate change action. Here in Sherco, we aim to find where and how we could support policymakers in the process in relation to decarbonization and clean energy transition. For policies such as NDC, Midterm Development Plan, Low Carbon Development Strategy, and others that you may suggest throughout this workshop. Okay. Amanda, you would like to continue?
Can I share my, okay. First and foremost, we would like to thank all the participants who have joined with us here today, all of our government partners, all our journalists, the media partner, and all the participants who have joined in different corners of the world. And also, sorry, I would like to share my screen real quick. I'm sorry for the technical issues, everyone. And I would also like to thank all the speakers, our guest speaker, Ms. Diah Roro Esti, and our speaker, Dr. Takeshi Takama, CEO of Sherco, for allocating the time and the effort to prepare for today's workshop. And thank you for the opportunity on giving your insights and expertise in today's symposium. Sorry. And before we proceed, I would also like kindly ask everyone to please take a moment of silence to honor and remember the victims who are impacted by coronavirus. If you could give a couple of seconds. Silence is over. Thank you, everyone. Hopefully we will proceed to a better future with the effort that we all will bring.
So before we start the presentations, I would like to read the sequence of the seminar. The seminar is divided into 3 main sessions. The first, which is the introduction session, where Dr. Takashi Takama, on behalf of Sherco, who is the CEO of Sherco, will introduce his organization and insights on climate change solution agenda. We will also have a presentation by the Honorable Mrs. Diah Roro Esti, who will present about youth involvement in climate change research and development. Second of all, we will have a focus group discussion session, and in between there will be question and answer session, followed by the conclusion at the end. We will close out the session with a presentation from our Sherco gift maker, Maya, and we will have a last Q&A discussion session.
And before we proceed, I would also kindly ask everyone to please follow these general rules to maintain efficiency and conduct the symposium in a timely manner. First of all, I would like to ask everyone to please rename your account with the following format so that during the breakout room, we can identify your name as well as your organization you're representing. Next, we will also like everyone to please kindly mute, and all participants will be muted during all sessions except focus group discussion. And there will be attendance form circulated by our technical team here in Sherco, and you can fill those out to receive the materials that will be presented today and also a report that we will create in the following weeks. And if you face any technical issue, please do let us know and our technical team will assist you. This symposium is conducted in English, but there are options that you can listen to in Bahasa Indonesia. So please go to the interpreter button feature and click on the language of your choosing. And last but not least, at the end of the session, some of our team will reach out to you, to some of you, to volunteer 10 minutes of your time to give a testimony at the end of the symposium. And if you do have any questions as presented by Tirta, all the collection will be collected. All of the question will be collected and addressed in the middle of the symposium and at the end of the symposium. And you can do so, submit your question by going to slido.com and type this number, 6 Shiriko. And to submit your question, please use this format to type the speaker or guest speaker that you direct your question towards. The link of the Q&A will also be shared in the chat.
Now allow me to welcome our first speaker, the CEO of Shiriko. He has been working as an international expert on climate change, environment, and energy for 2 decades and has a PhD in economic geography from Oxford University. As a reminder, the interpreter feature is on and you may listen in Bahasa Indonesia. Please welcome Dr. Takashi Takama. The floor is yours.
Okay, can I share my screen?
Yes, please do.
Okay. It's good?
Yes, we can see it.
Okay, 10 minutes, right? Okay, thank you very much coming for today. This is our second student symposium on climate change. We are hosting this workshop with symposium with Green School because we believe in action-oriented and scientifically proven education. I explain our think to be philosophy in Shiroko, which we also talk in this symposium. So as a think tank, we have worked on the climate change and energy project and the consolidated government and the international organization. So we publish these research results in international journals. And as a do tank, we provide about 30 biogas digester to the farmer. And this, in coming months, we do 40 more because we get support from German government. Also, we conduct a climate fuel school with Indonesia Meteorological Agency, BMKG, and the Stockholm Environment Institute. And we produce and sell product from coffee and the cacao farmer, cacao product provided by these farmers. As a B tank, we do the online and offline education activities. For example, every year we provide short courses on the sustainability to the Tokyo University. And we work with the Tiger Mob to provide weekly SDG lesson to the Clark Memorial High School. And from this year, we give sustainability education from our research and the business activity to Green School in Bali. We provide policy advice to Indonesia and other international organizations as also BTAC as well. So our mission is to be a gift maker that we can send a gift to the earth. And this is our mission and vision. So now just show a little bit the photos, and this is the picture, the biogas installation in the Green School. And the next one is a climate fuel school with BMKG and the Stockholm Environment Institute. And before pandemic, we work with a local school to sell coffee, chocolate made by these farmers. And this is my son, and he graduated, but hopefully we can do it more with the school as well. So just even looking at the flow providing the biogas, selling sustainable coffee education to the people, climate change, we can see that Shiroko covering almost all SDGs from 1 to 17. Then I just make a floor to discuss today that briefly talk about climate change situation in Indonesia is in and the global trend. This is an IPCC scenario. This is a rather conservative one. But you see that in Indonesia, within 100 years, temperature go up more than 1 degree for sure. And it will be some area even hotter, 1.2, 1.4 degrees. And this one, it's hard to see everything red, but this is Bali. But almost all Indonesia, it's become hotter. And then precipitation is the same, but rather a bit more complicated. So due to climate change, south of Indonesia become drier, so Bali become drier. And then north become wetter, so Indonesia a bit more complicated situation. No, we are not hoping this happens. And actually, in the COP next year, people discuss this not happens. And actually, this might be possible. So in the COP next week in Scotland, at the moment, there's a two target, 1.5 degree ideally, and the 2 degree otherwise. There's a two target, because there's some complexity, which I'm gonna explain. So there is a, even research why we should keep, we should go to the 1.5 degree, but we can get on with it because many people don't think we can keep it this 1.5 degree promise. Otherwise, some of us may think we don't need to. According to nationally determined contribution called NDC from 192 countries, this is a promise on how much we reduce CO2 or greenhouse gas. But currently, also this is a promise to decrease our greenhouse gas will increase by 16% in 2030 compared to 2010. And this will actually cause a 2.7 degree warmer world. And to limit carbon dioxide emission 1.5 degree, we have to reduce 45% by 2030. And even 2 degree, we have to reduce 25%. So in this context, many people may think that 1.5 degree or even 2 degree would be difficult. However, there's a slight, like hope, even this situation, even NDC. Outside of 192, 142 countries have recently updated. And according to the update, the decrease will be 9%. Still not enough, not 45%, but now it's going to decrease. But unfortunately, Indonesia did not update. But there's a hope, it can actually decrease. So last year, corona pandemic resulted in a 7% decrease in the emission. So this is back to the level of 15 years ago. This shows that how sensitive CO2 emission to the social and environmental influence. At the same time, we can actually see that it's possible to reduce CO2 emission. Having said that, also another bad news is, this year could be the second highest rise in the energy demand, according to the International Energy Agency report recently published. And this will already cut the 2/3 of last year emission reduction. So there's some issue, but we still hope, right? This hope is actually you, it's the young people. So who born after 20s? Who born after 20s? Some people, yes,
people
right? Some
can
people
raise their hand or
yes,
reactions.
Yeah, I don't have much time, so maybe wait. I don't wait, but say some people after 20. So for those people, are born after 2000 or 90s, some are born in the 90s. Half of you see the next century, but I'm not. So how does my generation, my adult generation, care about next century, which I'm not existing? This is a logic of recent climate change movement, and the latest assessment of report confirmed this logic. This is why today adults probably take climate change less seriously than children. The younger generation need to tackle climate change. So this is adult scientists predicted how climate change is going to. So do you see that all scenarios go above 1 degree? So go up and 1.5 degree warmer, may go down, may not go down. It's called overshooting. So global climate may not go down beyond 1.5 degree. Adults today, myself included, think we can solve climate change by rely on technology which doesn't exist now. So future, someone will fix it. In other words, it's like me going to a pub or a bar and drinking bintang or whiskey or something and saying, I'm happy with my life. I enjoy my life now, but my kids will pay my bill. I will not pay my bill. I'm not encouraging generation welfare. I mean, generation war, but this is what the graph really says. So when we look at Indonesia, this is I showed this slide yesterday, but let's review it again. So totally, like a coal power plant accounted 40% of electricity in the global, and China, India, South Africa have higher share, in terms of coal usage than Indonesia. However, Indonesia is increasing share like this. This is unique to Indonesia. And then this also, it's current what Indonesia is budgeting for the COVID recovery. The package shows that this more than double the Indonesia already very high subsidy on the fossil fuel. And then renewable energy almost doesn't exist. So, subsidy, so now this is the current situation. So this is my last slide. So what future would you like to choose in this situation? What should you do to achieve it? It could be a colorful future like one on the left, or it could be the darker, more gray area, gray world. It's getting harder and harder to predict the future. Like 10 years ago, there is no iPad. And the Instagram influencer doesn't exist. I often talk about the theory of vision in my sustainability classes. Because sustainability is the ability to see the future. It was, the Alan Kay, the scientist, the paper in 1960 to create the original idea of the iPad or iPhone. And Alan Kay said that best way to see the future is to invent it. So let's discuss what we will invent today. Thank you.
Give a big round of applause for Dr. Takeshi. Thank you so much, Dr. Takeshi Takama, for giving us such interesting presentations on Shiriko and also climate change. Next, allow me to welcome our guest speaker, the Honorable Mrs. Dia Roro Esti, a member of the Indonesian People's Representative or the Komisi 7 DPR RI. Mrs. Dia, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. Firstly, thank you to, I know that there are several entities that is, a part of hosting this event. So again, thank you for including me in today's discussion on youth inclusivity and the climate change agenda. And I know this is a joint event with Sureko and the Green School and the European Union and so many other who are involved in this agenda. So if we can quickly just go to the next slide, I'd like to introduce myself a little bit to you guys. My name is Dia Roro Esti. I'm currently a member of parliament in Commission 7. So Commission 7 deals extensively with the energy, research, innovation, and also the industry sector. I'm also a member of what's called the Interparliamentary Cooperation within the Indonesian Parliament, so maintaining bilateral relations between Indonesia and neighboring countries and countries really just all over the world. And I represent the district of East Java in Gresik and Lamongan, the cities of Gresik and Lamongan. If we can go to the next slide. I think it's quite relevant to discuss this issue, and being a young representative at the Indonesian Parliament, consisting of, I think, 10% of the current members of Parliament in Indonesia are below the age of 40. And so this is a momentum in itself for us to continuously voice out issues pertaining to the youth, but also how we can participate in creating policies that, can be felt extensively within the next 20 years, 50 years or so down the line. So really just pushing policies that have this imprinted value and this intention of creating a sustainable future for all. And so this is really important for all of us to recognize. When we speak of the climate change crises, I think it was mentioned earlier before as well, where global average temperatures compared to the pre-industrial average has increased over time. And we can see from the graph from year 1970 to 2020, the global average temperature rise has actually reached 1.25 degrees higher than the average temperature of what we experienced in the pre-industrial era. So again, there are consequences to increases of temperature. And if we can go to the next slide, when we speak of the impact of 1.5 to 2 degrees Celsius of warming, there are several implications. We can speak of the direct impacts you can see on the graph on the top left corner. Direct impacts include extreme heat, where the global population are exposed to severe heat at least once every 5 years. We understand that several countries in the world experience heat waves, and this has serious precautions towards human health in general, and has impacted a lot of lives as well. And so we also see the direct impacts of sea ice-free Arctic, where we're speaking of the decrease of icebergs, and we see this happening in so many different areas, and the sea level rise can potentially disappear or make islands all over the world disappear. I think Indonesia is quite prone to this because we're the biggest archipelago in the world, consisting of thousands of islands. And there has been studies which show that we have the potential of losing some of our islands. And when we lose some of our islands, we're also talking about the loss of lives, the loss of homes, the loss of economic activity. And so there are serious repercussions with regards to the increase of temperatures. And on the graph, you see the differences between 1.5 degrees Celsius rising in temperature to 2 degrees Celsius and even more. And of course, the hotter it gets, the worse the impact will be on not only people's lives, but also the environment. And here on the graph, you see the impacts in which it will have on species, like species loss, what kind of species we are expecting to lose, in years down the line if we don't do enough to combat climate change. And also within the land landscape as well, how it impacts ecosystems and also crop yields. And when we speak of crop, for example, this directly impacts the the welfare and the well-being of the Indonesian people, but also losses in terms of economic activity. So the social is being impacted, the economic side is being impacted, and there are so many others. And of course, this impacts directly on people's lives, as well as the oceans. You know, how a temperature rise can contribute to coral reefs, where there will be a future or further decline in coral reefs, and as well as the fisheries, you know, how there's expected to be a decline in marine fisheries over time. So just an example, with a 1.5 degrees Celsius rise, that means that we can potentially lose 1.5 million tons when we speak of the fisheries sector. So again, when we see overall in these graphs, we know that there are serious implications if we don't act enough, if we don't focus on this issue. And this is something that we need to be more serious about. If we can go quickly to the next slide. Right, so what about when we speak of youth, right? How is that going so far? What is the youth climate change awareness at this level in time? So yesterday I was invited to speak and to talk about a recent study that's been conducted. And there are several very interesting, not only facts, but also findings with regards to this survey. And this was conducted by, Indikator Politik Indonesia, and in regards to the youth's perspectives on the climate crisis in Indonesia. And it so happens that the majority of the Generation Z and also millennials, who actually is a predominant population group within today's demography. Again, we're currently facing a bonus demography, or a demographic dividend, where 70% of our population is of the productive age. I will talk a little bit more about this, but it turns out when we study the population, the current population in Indonesia, a majority is actually coming from the Gen Z and millennials group. And so this is really interesting to understand their perspective on an issue like climate change. And it turns out that the level of awareness of the climate crisis is higher in the Gen Z group in comparison to the millennial group. But it doesn't mean that they don't care at all. It just means that in terms of the awareness, the younger people are becoming more and more aware. And I think it's because they know and are starting to realize and are educated in a way where this is gonna be their problem. This is going to be their problem. So this has serious implications to their future. And so that's where their focus is. So this is something that I'm even learning at this stage where, okay, it turns out the Generation Z is a lot more concerned and a lot more serious about tackling this issue, because this is their issue. This will be the issue that they need to sort out in the future. And the environmental damage, as well as pollution, are two main issues that has become the youth's concern when we speak of the issue of the climate change, or the climate crisis. They're very, very focused on the kinds of environmental damage they are exposed to right now, and also how pollution has impacted not only the environment, but also the health aspect. And especially now with COVID-19, we're becoming more and more not only serious about the health sector, but we're becoming a lot more concerned about our own individual health. How fresh air is something that we need to survive, really, on a daily basis. And so when we see pollution impacting the quality of our air, this is becoming more of a concern for the youth in today's time. And the most important environmental issue, according to the Gen Z and millennial respondents within this survey, are very much dominated by waste-related issues, air pollution, as I mentioned earlier, and also pollution of rivers, lakes, and groundwater. One thing that I love about, for example, in several cities, including Bali, and also Bogor, and we see Banjarmasin, and I think a couple of other cities, even Jakarta. We're becoming more and more aware of, for example, the waste management, in bettering the waste management system, particularly pertaining to, for example, plastic waste, how we're dealing with the plastic pollution issue, and how we are trying to decrease the use of plastics in all forms, whether it be bags or, plastic bottles, and so forth. And so this is not only the concern of the youth, but I'm beginning to be more aware that this is also the concern of many other generations. If we can go to the next slide, I just have a couple more slides for you guys. So there are several interventions that are currently being done whether it be in the Indonesian parliament or in general within the ministries. And right now I've been entrusted also, aside from being a member of parliament, but also one of the commissioners of what's called the Low Carbon Development Initiative in Indonesia. And this is very much focused around how we can create a sustainable future, how we can ensure that our country, we are able to prosper as a nation economically, because we do have a potential of being one of the largest economies in the world, especially by 2045. And this is leveraging on the a demographic dividend that we are exposed to right now. Again, as I said, 70% are of the productive age, and so this is something that is definitely something to leverage on in the future. Economically, we do have a potential, but at the same time, how can we ensure that societies, the welfare of societies are being taken care of, and also as well as the environmental aspect. And so we do have many strategic plans in general, but when we speak specifically with regards to the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, there is a goal of improving communication, information, and also education to primarily increase public awareness, understanding, and also concerns over the quality of the environment. This is the capacity building is currently being done in many ways by the ministry, but also from what I see today, this is also a part of capacity building that's major. One of the major things that's pushed me to want to take part is to make sure that I am involved in the process of increasing capacity building activities to ensure that societies are aware of the issue and at least know what the next steps are in terms of creating change. And as far as for my contribution in the Indonesian parliament right now, especially given that we've signed the Paris Agreement, we've agreed on decreasing greenhouse gas emissions by 29%, most importantly, 41% with international aid. We have to stress on this point. And I understand, given my role now in Commission 7, 30% of Indonesia's emissions roughly come from the energy sector. So my goal is, as a youth member of the Indonesian parliament, what kind of change can I make, right? This is a question that I want you guys to ask yourself. What change can you make as an individual to contribute in tackling this climate issue? And one of the goals that I have is to make sure that we do extensively decrease greenhouse gas emissions from the energy sector. And one of the ways of doing that, and it was mentioned earlier as well about renewable energy, is pushing a bill on new and renewable energy with the means of, again, decreasing greenhouse gas emissions and fighting this global problem that we're currently faced with. And I just want to stress that this isn't only a global problem, but a problem that we face nationally, right? And so this is something I'd like to share with you guys. We're pushing this bill. We're going to make sure that we are creating an investment-friendly culture within the space of the renewable energy sector, because we do have a large potential. Only 2.5% of our total potential has been realized. And so this is something that is worth looking at, not only in a sense of tackling the climate issue, but also seeing this as an opportunity for business. I think that's so important, that business can come out of this, which means that multiplier effects can be made, particularly in creating green jobs and pushing industries that are green, better for the environment. On the next slide, I spoke already about the demographic dividend. This is where your role is as youth as well, understanding that you are a part of this current demography that we are currently facing. And if we can go to the next slide, there is a lot of participation that you guys can be a part of in relation to realizing the sustainable development goals. One of my concerns is also in realizing these goals in the perspective of where I am now, being a parliamentarian, pushing the right policies, for example, but also making sure that the youth, such as all of you here present today, and really just all generations, to take part in realizing these goals. There are so many small steps that we can do in order to tackle this problem, and also in order to achieve the sustainable development goals. So these are just a sign with regards to the opportunities for youth, especially students, where it turns out that there is a growing interest on research on SDGs. So this may be something that you're interested in doing more research, but also more importantly, being able to take action, right? With regards to the goals that are out there, the 17 goals that are there, what action can you make today in order for you to achieve those goals? That's also a question that I want you guys to ask yourself. And on the next slide, there are a lot of job opportunities and growing numbers of jobs. For example, in the renewable energy sector, again, this is an area that I'm quite concerned about, because this is the role that I can make, at least, in creating a sustainable future. And it is very much tied into the commission that I'm currently in within the energy space. And there are a lot of opportunities going forward. There will be a lot of opportunities going forward, and has been quite a lot of opportunities within the solar industry, and also the bioenergy, wind energy, solar heating and cooling. These are, I guess, areas that you may be interested as well, if you're into the technical aspect, or if you're into more of the communications and public relations aspect. There's a lot that you can contribute. And I remember being your age, and I remember asking myself, what can I do, what kind of change can I do as a young person? And I think it all boils down to being introspective of your abilities to create change, to understand and to believe that you can be a part of change, and to ask yourself, what concrete steps do I need to make to be able to contribute massively in the future? You can start small. You can, communicate with those around you with regards to this problem. If there is a specific problem that you're more interested in, for example, plastic pollution, this is something that you can potentially explore even further. How you can educate the masses about the problem, how you can solve the issue by, doing beach cleanups and other programs alike, and also how you can infiltrate and give influence to the supply chain of businesses. How can we make sure that, for example, if plastic bottles are still being introduced within the market and the system, then how can we potentially in the future create a recycling program that can ensure that the bottles being used by society can be returned and fed back into the system, and creating the circular economy, a way of doing business. So this is also something quite interesting to think about and to do in the future. And so the last slide, on the 11th slide, if we can just skip the next one and then go to the last. Before going into Parliament, I also have a civil society organization, or an NGO, that's called the Indonesian Energy and Environmental Institute. So, everyone keeps asking me, why are you so interested in this space? And I keep telling them that, it just so happens that right now I'm a member of parliament, but regardless of who or what my title is, I will always be concerned in this space. I've always been passionate about sustainable development or sustainable economic development. And so I wanted to contribute in my own way, and this was through this organization. And we've partnered with several institutions, whether it be the Ministry of Environment and Forestry, whether it be the Ministry of Energy. This is a space that I've been passionate about for quite some time. And, again, I wanted to kind of just share this experience with you guys, so you can also take part and, learn about how you can make a difference. And I hope that through the changes we're currently making in the Indonesian Parliament, if we can go on my last slide, on the slide 35, these are the kinds of policies that we're trying to push. I know, well, I can say that that this whole thing is harder than it looks, right? Because when we speak of politics, we're speaking about multiple personalities, we're speaking of multiple agendas. But the most important thing is ensuring that we do push legislations and policies that are good for not only the environment, but for future generations to come. And I hope that this job that we're doing and this policy that we're trying to push is beneficial for you guys, is beneficial for all of us, and is something that we can build on in the future. So thank you so much again for having me. I hope you guys have a very interactive and interesting discussion. And I look forward to hear more about the changes that you're going to make in the future. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Mrs. Dia, for giving us insights on youth inclusivity and climate change research and also development.
Thank you. Maybe I would like to jump into the first Q&A session. We have collected some question, and I think due to time constraint, we will maybe choose 2 to 3 questions. Maybe, first, we have one that is on top currently, directed towards Ms. Dia. What do you think will be the greatest challenges this generation of youth will face when tackling global issue of climate change?
I think one of the biggest challenges would be in really seeing things from a holistic perspective, right? As seeing how this system is designed and is currently working in the present moment. Not only the youth, but even I feel now that we're trying to push this legislation, there are several challenges that even we are facing in the parliament, dealing with, for example, PLN, how they can be committed in a carbon neutral, for example, future. And again, dealing with current industries within the fossil fuel industry. We understand that, we have to recognize that right now our economy is purely driven by the fossil fuel economy and industry, and it's created multiple jobs. And so trying to push change is harder than it looks. I think one of the biggest challenges is also in making sure that everyone is in the same wavelength, the same mindset and perspective about this issue. But I'm very optimistic because, again, from the survey that I was telling you guys about, it turns out that the youth is very, very concerned and is very motivated in creating change within this space. So at least having that momentum and having a large amount of youth be involved in this discussion, I think that is where your strength will lie in the future, and for you to create this movement that can potentially impact societies, not only in Indonesia, not only the society, but also government. Your voice is actually being heard, and I will ensure that your voice, and will represent as best as I can, your voice in making sure that we're pushing the right things within the Indonesian parliament and also government in general.
Thank you, Ms. Pia. And maybe the second question. We have some things on top here. Maybe what are the obstacles that stand in the way of pushing, obstacles that we're pushing pro-environment policy despite the calls to change from you?
Yeah, so I think I mentioned that already previously. I think Right now, everyone just feels quite comfortable with the way that businesses run and businesses being done, whether it be pro-environment or not pro-environment, everyone's just feeling comfortable. And one of the biggest challenges is to push people outside of their comfort zone and proving to them that there are opportunities beyond the current industry that they are currently taking part of. I guess psychologically, if you guys just think about it, imagine working in a particular sector. For example, you are working in the oil and gas business, and you have been given multiple opportunities in this industry. You were able to you're able to make a living out of this job. You're able to you're able to finance your children's education, for example, by working in this sector. So you're very comfortable in this space, and then you find out that, oh, turns out that there's this global and national movement against the fossil fuel industry. So this is just something to be aware of, that we're talking about people's lives as well, when we speak of change. So the most important thing is to make sure that we open their mindset and to ensure to them, give the insurance that, look, change is necessary, but it doesn't mean that you're going to lose out on the change that needs to take place, right? There are several and many other opportunities that can come out of a greener lifestyle, for example, or an industry that is is considered more green and more environmentally friendly, and so forth. So the obstacle is in pushing people outside of their comfort zone. And I think there was a question earlier about advice for youth that want to be involved in tackling the issue of climate change through policy and government. Get involved in politics. This is something that I'm trying to push as well, to make sure that we have more politicians speaking about the issue, because one of the things that I'm learning is that even within the Indonesian parliament, there needs to be a movement, and without this movement and this political will, change will not occur. So in the Indonesian parliament, it's called collective kolegial, right? In a sense where one perspective is not enough to create change. There needs to be consensus between all political parties within the Indonesian parliament. And we're talking about 9 different parties with 9 different perspectives, with 9 different agendas, with so many different things that they believe is right. And so one of my job and our job within the system is to ensure that all political parties, or at least a majority, care enough about environmental issues. And one of the ways for the youth to be involved is to open your mind into, exploring the political space, taking part in this space for you to then be able to create change within the system. This is something that, I've been trying to advocate for, as well, as to get more youth involved and at least be a part of the discussion inside, so we can make this change happen from the inside. Because it turns out I'm learning that it's a lot harder as well, to make change, whether it be inside or outside. But without the intention of creating change, I think we'll just be quite stagnant and not make the necessary steps in order for us to tackle this problem.
Thank you, Ms. Dia, for the insights in youth in politics, and also some of the opportunities and the way our youth voices actually matter in the decision-making policies. Thank you so much. And I think the time, you may have to leave early. So thank you so much for the opportunity and having you here. We really appreciate your time and effort for preparing for today's symposium. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Amanda. Thank you, Tirta, and everyone
Thank
here.
You. And if
and Takeshi as well.
If it's okay, maybe before you leave, we can take a screenshot of everyone here quickly.
Yes.
Maybe take a few seconds. Is that okay? Okay. Thank you. I'll give it to my technical team, Maya, to please count for the screenshot.
So Amanda, could you unshare?
Yes, please do.
Okay, there are 2 slides, so I'll count it twice. So 1, 2, 3. So again, the next slide. 1, 2, 3. Okay, thank you.
Thank you so much, Miss Dia.
Thank you very much.
Bye. Have a good day.
Have a good day. And for the other question, we will address it right after the focus group discussion. So don't worry, we will have more session in the discussion.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for staying until the most important session in the symposium. So for the agenda right now, we will have grade school students, Guste, Luca, and Eamon, who will present their take of Shurico research projects and how we will connect it to your insights. This will be followed by a 30-minute small group discussion in which all participants will be automatically allocated to respective breakout rooms. And without further ado, please welcome Guste with his presentation of clean energy and tipping plus.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Guste. I'm a 10th grade local scholarship student at Green School Bali, and I'm honored to be involved in the Student Symposium as leader of a focus group discussion on the topic of clean energy. Before I introduce the concept of clean energy, let me first give a background to understand the issue. There are three main issues that our world currently faces surrounding energy. The first is our reliance upon non-renewable energy sources that we know will run out. Today, most of our energy comes from fossil fuels, which includes coal, oil, and natural gas. All of these sources are a finite resource. This means that the day all of these energy sources run out, the majority of our world will fall apart. Second is the greenhouse gas emissions produced by our energy consumption. Fossil fuels produce a great amount of emissions, which results in global warming, climate change, pollution, both in the air and in the water. And last is the world's energy inequality. Many rural areas around the world still lack a safe and reliable source of energy, whether it be electricity or fuel for cooking. Despite all the resources allocated to improving energy infrastructure around the world, many areas remain underdeveloped and are overlooked when it comes to the discussion of energy. This brings us the solution. Clean energy is defined as energy from sources that are naturally replenishing but flow limited. Renewable resources are virtually inexhaustible in duration but limited in the amount of energy that is available per unit of time. Essentially, clean energy is energy that will not run out and has a very small negative impact on the environment. The process which we implement clean energy involves the collaboration of two main parts, research and stakeholders. It is extremely important that detailed and extensive research is done surrounding energy. We must understand the current situation in order to determine what the people really need. We must understand why specific people use fossil fuels to find how they can best transition to clean energy. After data is collected, we then must work with people or groups of people with power to provide the resources needed to implement clean energy solutions. It is extremely important to communicate with stakeholders to find common ground and show how everyone involved will benefit from implementing clean energy. And once those two parts come together, that's when the magic happens. Tipping Plus is a European Commission project working together with Shurico that does everything I mentioned earlier. The goal of the project is to research three main points. Why do high carbon usage areas switch to renewable energy resources? Second, what effects can this switch have on society and the environment? And how can this information be used to ease transition to clean energy sources? Using this information, they help inform people with power to make the decisions that bring us closer to a cleaner world. Today, we can be part of that magic. The Student Symposium is a unique opportunity to be involved in the research and the policymaking through discussion and debate. Today, all of you will be involved in the outcome of our research with your participation in the discussion. For those of you that have found the background interesting or are really passionate about clean energy in Indonesia or around the world, this focus group discussion will be a great experience for you. The focus group's discussions for this student symposium will work like this. Participants will be given 3 guiding questions based on the group's respective topic. Throughout the 30 minutes of allocated time, participants will all discuss the topic, answering each question one by one, sharing ideas and perspective. Then, at the end, we will reflect on what we have learned and report to the whole group. For this focus group, our guiding questions are as follows. First, do you believe that clean energy is important for our future? Why or why not? Second, name a few things you know about clean energy. This could be the different types of clean energy or the advantages and disadvantages. And last is name some people you know that are crucial to the transition to clean energy. This can be someone you know personally, policymakers, business leaders, or other people involved, or other individuals in positions of power. With that, thank you so much for your attention, and I'm looking forward to discussing clean energy with all of you.
Thank you, Guste, for the presentation. Next we have Luca with the presentation on carbon offset. So Luca, the floor is yours.
Am I audible?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay. All right. Hello, my name is Luca. I'm an 11th grade student at Green School Bali. Today, I will be running the focus group discussion on the topic of Sherco's biogas initiative funded by Carbon Offset. And before getting into what that actually means, let's first understand what biogas digesters are. A biogas digester is a technology that can take inorganic waste, such as food scraps and manure, and then transform them into 2 products, organic fertilizer and biogas. Biogas can be used by farmers for everyday use, replacing standard LPG tanks or firewood stoves, and the organic fertilizer replaces synthetic fertilizer for farmers. However, while these digesters are beneficial for farmers and the earth, it is not very popular as of yet. So, what reasons do farmers have to use biogas digesters, and how do we make this more widespread? Well, one way is to provide a source of income for farmers that are given digesters, and this can actually be achieved with something called carbon offset. Everyone generates emissions on the daily, but by using transport, electricity, anything. If you purchase carbon offset, you effectively get to reduce your emissions. You are buying, you are investing in sustainable technology and sustainable practices with that, and you can reduce your carbon footprint without actually reducing the amount of carbon you produce as an individual. Now, we want to sell this carbon offset so we can have more people support more farmers, since it actually has to be marketed. So we have our solution. However, before the carbon offset can be sold, it needs to be certified. Typically, a company certifies carbon offset sale. But this option is super expensive and outdated. What if we certify ourselves with technology, blockchain technology, a data storage where no one can manipulate the data? So instead of using traditional certification, we are moving to new certification, which will provide the same result, be more secure, and be cheaper, and allow us to actually focus on the important thing of this project, which is getting biogas digesters to farmers. But why use blockchain technology? Well, this way, we don't have to pay for certification, and we can get real-time data. Farmers can get income and will continue to use biogas digesters. So essentially, there is a meter, as you can see in the slide, connected to a biogas digester that sends data automatically to a blockchain database to have every biogas digester tracked and accounted for with regards to its biogas production. And this allows carbon offset to be sold and farmers to have an incentive and an income. So just to recap, this project is effectively a 3-part process of getting biogas digesters to farmers so they can reduce their emissions. certifying these same carbon emissions through certifying these same carbon emission reductions through a blockchain database, and finally, selling the carbon offset to people who want to contribute to preventing climate change and allowing for more carbon emission reduction. The money from selling this carbon offset will then go back to farmers to keep them motivated to use the digester, and partially to Sherco to allow the company to keep giving away biogas digesters to more farmers. So here are our focus group discussion questions. The first is, do you or does anyone you know have any prior experience or knowledge of biogas or carbon offset? How can we build interest in purchasing carbon offset in Bali and internationally? And 3, why might it be important to create a monetary incentive for sustainable fuel and energy production? Thank you. And just lastly, before I go, I would like to remind everyone that by joining this, you're actively contributing to this project. So you can give us vital information about how exactly we can support farmers and improve sustainability in Indonesia. And you're also learning about a really cool project that you may not have known about before. Thank you guys for listening, and I hope you enjoy my focus group session if you so decide to join.
Thank you, Luca, for the presentation. We will now move on to Eamon, who will talk about land use and also landmark. Eamon, the floor is yours.
Can you enable screen sharing for me?
Sorry, Eamon, are you sharing your screen?
I'm not a co-host, so I can't. Okay, now I can.
Okay.
Share.
Okay, sorry about that.
All right, guys.
I think
No
you're
problem.
able to see your screen.
All right, can everybody hear me?
Yes, you can hear it clearly.
Okay, cool. Hi, everybody. My name is Eamon. I'm a 12th grade student at Green School, and I'm here to talk about land-based mitigation. I'm working with Sherco today and can briefly explain their involvement with Landmark. Landmark is a research project funded by the European Commission that explores land-based mitigation techniques around the world. In Indonesia, Sherco is conducting a case study to investigate which methods of mitigation work best among farmers here. So what are the issues that we're looking at? Irresponsible land use. This includes deforestation, the effects of extensive agriculture like soil erosion or desertification. The picture here shows forests in Indonesia being slashed and burned, releasing all of the carbon from the dense peatlands in the soil. Labor inequality or injustice. Slave labor and child labor are very prevalent in agriculture, with around 60% of child laborers globally working in agriculture. And carbon emissions. Land use and agriculture is a large part of carbon emissions, contributing to over 17% of carbon emissions worldwide. For example, in Western countries like the US, where factory farming is the standard, not only will the cows release greenhouse gases through methane, but the equipment will pollute the air and contribute to desertification as well. So what is our solution? Luckily, Sherco and Landmark are conducting research to learn about the region-specific solutions for better land-based mitigation in Indonesia. Sherco is also working to gain the attention of key actors and policymakers to pitch more sustainable land use strategies. The final step in their process is the implementation of strategies combining knowledge from research and stakeholders. Our focus for the breakout rooms today will be in the next slide. And I just want to say for the third time that the answering of these questions is less of an exercise and more as contributing to the data that we're collecting to make Indonesia's land use a better place. So our first question is, what are some examples of land-based mitigation that you could think of? And then, do you or anybody you know own land for the purpose of agroforestry? If so, do you know any techniques they are using? And our final one is, What is your opinion on the transition to better manage our land? What challenges are the most immediate to you? All right, thank you so much for listening to me talk. And I hope if you are interested in learning about land-based mitigation, or if you have something to say, please join my breakout room, and I'll see you soon.
Thank you so much, Guste, Luca, and Eamon for the presentations. Hopefully all of you, all the participants, received a brief idea of the topics to choose for the most applicable and interesting room for you in this focus group discussion.
Thank you again. Thank you, Tirta. And now we have come into the breakout room part of this FGD. And before jumping into the FGD, I would like kindly remind everyone again that the aim of the symposium is to find and where how Sherco and Green School Valley could engage more youth in SDG implementation, whether that's through training or any potential collaboration that may fit within your organization. And as Guste, Eamon, and Luca has mentioned, there will be 3 different breakout rooms, each focusing on the project that they have presented. And you can see here. And in the sub-agenda for the FGD, there will be we will invite all the participants to give inputs on the question that have been presented. And then there will be an interactive discussion facilitated by Guste, Luca, and Eamon. So now without further ado, we will go into FGD room, and all the participants will be automatically assigned to different rooms. But if you like to choose or like to join to different room, whether you're more interested in the clean energy, carbon offset, biogas, or the land use, you may choose to do so by clicking the breakout room buttons, choose the breakout room, and then a window will pop up and you can choose to join whichever room you like to join. So now I will pass the mic over to Deepta to please open up the breakout rooms. A window will show up and you can just click join. Okay, everyone, I will see you in 25 minutes. Bye.
Thank you everyone for actively participating in the FUG discussion sessions. I hope that all the rooms were interesting and insightful. Now, based on that, I will give the floor to Guste, Luke, and Eamon respectively to summarize the report breakout room discussion. So Guste, the floor is yours.
Apologies, sorry. So in our focus group discussion, we discussed a variety of things on clean energy. We had a couple people involved, and Suresh, Amanda, Cynthia, and Bernadetta, and basically went through all of the different levels of learning that each of us are around clean energy and clearing up some of the things that we want to know more about and other ways that we can be involved. For example, Suresh is involved in education as a principal and Bernadetta is a student. And we had a wonderful discussion and everyone got to learn more about clean energy. Thank you so much for joining the conversation.
Yeah. So for our discussion group, I think it was very interesting. We had a handful of participants that were actually really engaged, and I think we achieved the main thing we wanted to achieve, which was that we had managed to have like really not surface level, but very my apologies, very important and meaningful discussions. And so we managed to learn some things about what people thought about biogas and what they already knew about the project. And we managed to, I think, or I hope, teach people some stuff about biogas itself and how it works. So I'd like to thank everyone that was in our discussion group. And yeah, I thought we had a really productive discussion. I thought we had some really interesting takes and some really interesting questions. Thank you, everybody.
So welcome, Eamon.
Hi, everybody. Yeah. So the land use breakout room was a little shy at first, but I think towards the end we started getting a conversation going. I think it was me, Ayu, Sunil, and Mawa. And I really liked this discussion that we had because we got perspectives from India as well as perspectives from Sibangade, which is right where we are right now, or where I am. And I thought it was interesting to share different perspectives on that thing. And I think we got a lot of answers in our Jamboard. So yeah, thank you so much for everyone that participated, whether it was to input to the Jamboard or just to listen and learn more. But yeah, thank you for coming, and I hope you had a good time.
Great. Thank you to all the breakout room facilitators and presenters on summarizing the discussion. Now, before jumping into the Q&A session and of all the collected questions that we have, I would like to welcome Pashdika Maya to present about the Think GB principles in SDG implementation. She is Shureko gift makers here working with the B events team, working with different level of youth and also different level of communities here in Bali. And we have invited students from Japan, students from Europe, and she has hosted several different SDG training. So without further ado, I would like to welcome Maya to present her insights and expertise. And maybe while waiting for Maya, I would like to remind everyone to please fill out the attendance form that have been shared by Dipta. And then there we can please give your feedback on today's symposium. And also there's a collaboration form where you can fill out which opportunities that you like to collaborate with both Shureko and Green School Bali. So please welcome Maya.
Okay, thank you, Amanda. Good afternoon, everyone. I am Maya from Circle B event team. First of all, I would like to say thank you to all the participants who has joined with us today and still staying and actively participating in this event up until this session. Today, we are going to share with you of what we have been doing before and during the pandemic. And beside that, we would like to give an overview of how Circle can accommodate youth in this climate change agenda to raise a voice, to find any opportunities to connect and collaborate for the climate change solution with more people through this session. Okay, if we can recall from what our CEO mentioned earlier in the introduction presentation that Circle has a think, do, be, thank principle. We synergize goodwill and scientific knowledge such as research, publication, consulting through think tank in delivering sustainable meaning into our gifts and action through biogas digesters and climate smart products from farmers through do tank and the creation of a sustainable and resilient community such as workshop, training, and climate field school through BTANG. And as you may have learned during the FGD session, we clearly understand how Shirko Ting Do BTANG ties together and supports youth involvement in the climate change action. Through this interesting discussion in the breakout rooms session, we have seen there are so much potential collaboration that we could do and align with the youth involvement in the climate solution and implementation where the youth voice also matter. We have been building a connection through this interesting we have been building a connection with local stakeholders to government for the Shirko project. There we got the information of how serious the impact of climate problems would be, and then the environmental issue is getting worse throughout the years. Specifically, Bali, one of the most tourist destinations, back in 2019, before the global pandemic, one of the biggest waste mountain burned and produced a non-stop fire in more than a month. It is caused by the chemical component inside the waste. With the heat of the water and the strong winds resulted bigger fire. And according to Department of Cleanliness of Tabanan in 2020, there are 1,500 tons waste received every day. So could you imagine how big is the waste mountain in our room? And today's Student Symposium is one example of how we can involve the students to contribute on our ongoing projects. And with your coefficient to be the gift makers to the earth, we wanted to empower participants to create their own sustainable impact to make a positive difference aligned with SDG goals. We're all facing the impact of climate change and environmental issues while the global technologies are growing so fast each year, we have realized that we need to also find an innovative solution for this issue. As Ibu Diah Roro has mentioned in the beginning of the presentation as well, we need the youth roles to contribute in this climate change agenda. We know that we, as youth, this is our problem. We believe youth voices matter in this project implementation and climate change solutions. Here, we develop the SDGs gift making that aims to give the experience to build awareness around current issues we have been facing. This is how we share our gift-making knowledge and engage with youth in order to support the climate change agenda. We have group or in-person training where we experience the reality and meet the environmental awareness communities in Bali through short course and after short course. And then we have sustainable workshop where we can learn while exploring the beauty of Bali Island. We have sustainable workshop, and then we have webinars to learn how to create and build a sustainable product. through topical webinar and FGD with students. We also have on-site journey. I would like to explain it in detail. During during we start the program, more than 50 international students and employees came to Bali to experience the reality environmental issues in Bali and to learn the sustainability as the solutions. And one of the activities were visiting coffee and biogas farmers, government offices, and interviewing local citizens. And for the online journey, as the global pandemic came, we finally shifted everything online, and more than 1,000 participants have joined our short and full course of this SDG program. And even though it's online, we are trying to make it as interactive as possible by empowering participants to create their own sustainable impact to make a positive difference. Here you can see the sample of our agenda of our SDG program. We have been working and developing the syllabus. The activity will shed light on issues based on 4 key themes, which are waste, agriculture, water, and energy. But the program as a whole will educate alongside the SDGs. As for the output of the program, we are trying to empower the participants to create their own sustainable impact to make a positive difference. We want this activity is not only a one-run activity. We want to give more experience to the students and all participants out there to get an experience beyond what a search engine could give. And yeah, through our Churko SDGs program, the participant will be equipped with the necessary tools to develop impactful sustainable solutions. For example, you can see here the 360 video. At the time, students wanted to learn about the Balinese culture. We made the 360 video footage to explore the Balinese temple, and the aim of the 360 video is where the participants could see from different angle, and then while looking at the different angle, because it is important, we wanted to give them the overview through point of interest in the surroundings of the environment. And then more than that, we are trying to build a sustainable community where all participants can give a contribution toward the climate change agenda. And here from our activity SDG training, has an opportunity to experience and gain something new. So not only from the guest speakers, but also from the participants during the learning process. And toward the whole session, we expect the participants to gain more skills such as self and project development, leadership and communication, teamwork, community empowerment, international and local NGOs connection, and more skills. So yeah, this is our collaboration with Green School Bali, and we had chocolate class, X with Green School program, water catchment class, green work class, international webinar, student symposium. We wanted to have more collaborations with more students around Indonesia, or maybe also outside Indonesia. So yeah, here are the output of the students project, which is campaign. So we have the resource, we have the connection passion to expand our vision to have more gift makers to the earth. And this is one example how we collaborate with them. And yeah, if we still have time, maybe I'll play a short video of our campaign. Or maybe, yeah, I'll share the link later to the chat. But I cannot play the video. I think if you have any questions about our collaborations, or if you wanted to discuss it with us, you can drop your questions, or you can fill the collaboration form after this. Our Green School students will share it to the chat. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Maya, for your sharing your insights and your expertise in this SDG implementation through with Think to Be principles. Now, I think due to time constraint, we have come to an end of the symposium, and we don't have any time to address the collected questions. So maybe we can follow up in the email and the follow-up emails to everyone who attended today. And I would pass the mic over to Tirta to close out the session.
Thank you, everyone. We have a few closing remarks from our speaker, Luca. The floor is yours, Luca.
Yeah, thank you. So I just wanted to basically touch on one aspect of the Student Symposium, which is that the purpose of it, and I'd like to thank everyone for being here, is about promoting sustainability, with including people's voices, right? Through the symposium, we're basically collecting youth voices, and I want to also stress that even the fact that some people didn't know much about our projects and ask clarifying questions, that is useful information to us, right? We're learning about, the landscape, the landscape of the youth and how what people think about these various projects. So we are all effectively contributing to promoting sustainability and taking climate action in Indonesia by engaging with this. So I'd like to thank everyone for that and kind of just stress that you guys are essential to this, because just participating in events like this is also essential, to pushing forth climate change, right? And this is this is very important to that effort. So I would just like to, I just wanted to say that, and I want to thank everyone for attending, and yeah, that's it.
Okay, thank you, Luca. We also have a few closing remarks from the CEO of Shirko, Dr. Takeshi. The floor is yours.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for coming. And I was really impressed with your capability and motivation. When I was a high school student, I never thought I would organize such a forum and get involved in a global issue like climate change. But at the same time, I believe now children are expected to do this kind of work. As an adult, it's a bit shame that we are passing on this problem to the next generation that the adults need to solve actually. But also, it's also encouraging that next generation is working on this. So by being part of this forum, you are one step ahead of other people regarding sustainability action. So keep up excellent work and let us know what you have done. Even if it is small things, it counts. So we will see you next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Dr. Takeshi. Just a few closing remarks from me. I was actually part of the first student symposium 2 years back, and that was really life-changing for me. Like, I didn't know that I would be here right now working with Shiriko and working on a bunch of cool projects. And so just here, by being here and contributing to the student symposium, you guys, all of you are contributing to valuable research just by being part of the discussions and also the debates. By participating in all these the 3 discussions, you're helping us do our research for our projects to help solve environmental issues. Just as a reminder, today's student symposium was done to include youth voices, to collaborate with all of you students to make a change. Remember that none of you are too young to start an initiative, and who knows, maybe this student symposium can be an inspiration for all of you to begin something life-changing. I'd like to thank the speakers, all the speakers, Luca, Guste, Eamon, Dr. Takeshi, Mrs. Dia, who isn't here, just for being here and speaking on such inspiring topics. I would also like to thank all of you participants for being very active, and I hope that each one of you has gained some sort of knowledge and find a potential collaboration in the near future. On behalf of Sherco and Green School, I apologize if there are any inconveniences that have happened throughout the workshop. And finally, I give a big round of applause to all of you. Thank you so much for joining today's Student Symposium.
Thank you, everyone. Let's see you next year in our upcoming events, other events. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, everybody.
For some of you who has been contacted by our team for giving